Good evening, my name is Isabella. Good evening, my name is Belma, and we're going to talk about pulse rate and exercise. What happens to the heart rate and pulse during exercise? Why is it that my pulse is higher than yours? And what happens to my body during exercise? These are just some of the things that we have learned through this project. We chose this theme, pulse rate and exercise, because we thought it was an interesting subject. Since both of us have wondered about what happens in the body during exercise and why it happens. In simple terms, what happens is that when you exercise, your muscles need more energy so that they can get the energy, the muscles need more oxygen so that they can get the energy to keep working. The heart works faster to supply more blood, and then the heart rate goes up. The heart is located in the middle of the chest and is made up of muscle tissues. The heart is like a pump, constantly supplying our bodies with blood and gives oxygen and nourishment. The heart is about the size of a fist and is divided into two halves. Each consists of an atrium and a ventricle. The left part of the heart pumps blood from the lungs around the body. As the blood circulates, the blood vessels extract oxygen. The deoxidized blood returns through the two big veins into the right part of the heart. These veins transport the oxygen-depleted blood down to the lung, where oxygen is absorbed via lung veins. The heart can approximately pump 5 liters of blood per minute at rest and up to 30 liters of blood when the body is working hard. Heart rhythm. The heartbeats or contractions are controlled by a small conductor called the sinus node. The sinus node is a small cell cluster placed in the right atrium. The sinus node sends out regular electrical impulses, which via a special conduction system connects all the heart cells and sets their pace. The sinus node controls the heartbeat or pulse. For an ordinary adult, the rest pulse should be about 50 to 100 beats per minute. But under physical stress, it can rise up to 150 to 200. Actually, Formula 1 racing drivers' pulses has been measured as high as 220 beats per minute. It must be said that this is an extremely high pulse and is not healthy. It must also be said that diseases which affect the heart's ability to pump blood can cause changes in heartbeats and rhythm. The heart uses valves to pump the blood. The atrium and ventricles of the heart are separated by these valves. These valves act as stop valves to control the blood flow and preventing the blood flowing back when the atria and ventricle are contracting. There are a total of 4 heart valves, each having the job to control the blood flow in the right direction, in through the heart and out again. The 2 other heart valves are located between the ventricles. The major arteries are the main routes the blood is forced through. If one or more heart valve becomes damaged, the heart will work less efficiently and heart failure may occur at some point. Why does your rate and depth increase with exercise? The increased need for energy causes our body to starve for oxygen. The way we pay back for this sudden need of oxygen is by breathing faster. When you exercise, you increase in the depth of your breathing. Your muscles need more oxygen during exercise because they need to produce more energy to work for longer periods of time. And they do this by breaking down glucose from the food that you have eaten. But they need oxygen to do this. Without an increase in oxygen, the muscles will try to produce through the anaerobic energy system to make energy, but this creates lactic acid. Before you begin exercising, you get a smaller rise in breathing rate, and this is called anticipatory rise. When you begin exercising, there is a noticeable increase in breathing rate, and after a few minutes of aerobic exercise, your breathing rate continues to increase, but eventually levels of it will remain constant. But if you're exercising at your highest possible intensity levels, your breathing rate will keep increasing until exhaustion. After exercise, the pulse will start turn to normal rapidly to begin with, but then more slowly. Your muscles require more energy when they're active during exercise. Muscles need oxygen in order to function and keep the tissue alive, just like any other organ. During activity, this is especially important. because the chemicals used need to break down in order to release energy for your body and as quick as possible meet the demands of exercise. Inadequate amounts of oxygen will cause anaerobic respiration, meaning it can work without oxygen being present. But that would be too painful due to lactic acid being produced. Aerobic respiration, where oxygen is present, is a much more effective way.
Why does your body produce carbon dioxide during exercise? As I told you before, when you exercise, the body needs more energy, and it's because the muscle tissue needs more oxygen than it does when you rest. But also producing more oxygen also means that you will produce more carbon dioxide, and it's simply because its metabolic rate is raised.
Training or physical exercise will affect the efficiency of the cardiovascular system. The circularity system consists of the heart, lungs, blood vessels, and the blood flowing in them. This system and muscles change in order to increase the body's ability to absorb oxygen. The more oxygen the body can capture, use, transport, the greater the capacity of the body's performance, which in turn has an impact on our performance.
The more you do, the more you need. When we train, we use energy. Our body becomes like a factory. Raw materials, oxygen and nutrients for the production of energy are sent out from the dispatch area, the heart, through the carriers, blood and hemoglobin. When the carriers reaches the destinations, the muscles, the raw materials are taken in through channels, the capillaries, and end up in a reception area, the myoglobin in the muscle. From there they travel through the energy center, the mitochondria, where the specially trained workers works, the enzymes. The enzymes transform the raw materials into clean energy, which the muscles subsequently use to work together and develop physical power. The more we train, the more effectively the body produces what it needs, like a factory again. More power in the heart, more carriers of oxygen and nutrients, more places for delivery and more reception areas, leading to more factories. Energy production is carried out faster and more effectively, allowing us to perform at a higher level.
When the body is subjected to regular cardio training, among other things affected is the heart's pumping capacity. The heart muscle becomes stronger and is able to pump more blood per heartbeat. This increased capacity means that the body at rest has a lower heart rate. In other words, we are reducing the workload on the heart by being in good physical shape. The blood that the heart pumps out transports oxygen to the muscles that use oxygen to create physical energy needed to run or cycle, etc. The better the pump capacity is, the greater supply of oxygen to the muscles. Greater oxygen supply to the muscles means greater production of energy and the opportunity for the body to work harder and longer.
For such athletes, the body must be able to produce renewable energy during these longer activities. There must necessarily be a good supply of oxygen to the muscles. The kind of figure represents how many milliliters of oxygen a body is able to absorb per kilo of body weight per minute. The more oxygen the muscles can absorb, the higher working capacity has the body and the greater will the athlete's stamina be. Typical fitness ratings. Untrained 30 to 40, walker 50 to 60, elite endurance athletes 80 to 85. The kind of figure is usually approximately 10 milliliters lower in women than in men. Generally, women has less muscle mass and blood volume than men does.
Oxygen flows into the lungs, into the alveoli, which are surrounded by capillaries. The oxygen sticks to hemoglobin, an iron-retaining protein which is found in blood cells. The heart then redirects the blood through arteries into smaller capillaries that surround muscles. The oxygen is transferred from the hemoglobin to the muscle cells.
We also did an experiment. We took one boy in bad shape and one boy in good shape, and then we took one girl in bad shape and one girl in good shape. Before we started the experiment, we measured their rest pulse, and that is the one you can see right here. Then they had to stand for 3 minutes each. We have some pictures of it here, one right here and the other one right there. And when they had done that, we measured their pulse again, the exercise pulse. In that way, we could see how high and how low their pulse was. We could also see that the ones in good shape had a lower pulse than the ones in bad shape.
During this exhibition, we have learned a lot about the heart, pulse, and how big an influence exercise has on your body, mind, and health. We have also learned that pulse can vary from person to person. Our conclusion is, exercise is not only good for your body, it is good for your heart and mind as well. It's very important to be in a good shape, to keep your body and heart healthy and strong.
We also want to thank some people. First of all, we want to thank Belma's parents for helping and supporting Belma. Then we want to thank my mother for painting the back of the board and coming with great ideas. Then we want to thank her boyfriend Tim for correcting us and making these letters. And then we want to thank my dad for supporting me.
Then we would also like to thank Elzena for making this project possible and guiding us through it.
Then we also want to thank Christiane and her dad for giving us the board.
Then we would also like to thank our math teacher, Ellen, for helping us with the graphs.
And we want to thank our classmates for joining us in our experiment.
Then we would also like to thank Cole for giving us advice about exercise.
And then we want to thank Ellen, our math teacher, for helping us with the... Oh, you said that?
Yeah. Okay.
Then we want to thank you for listening to us.